Hey guys, Teagan here. Today I just want to talk to you about different forms of sealant and the different things I use them for and how they might benefit you. They range anywhere from $5 for say a bottle up to, if you wanted to spend the money and get a big kit, $1,000 for a big kit of art resin. Both have their purposes. Both have extra uses if you really wanted to use it like that. We will start with the Krylon supplies. These are the ones that I use. First we have the Kmart varnish. Next we have two different versions of a UV resistant. And then finally we have crystal clear. Kmart is used to protect your piece and stop it from yellowing. It is usually the first step as far as sealing a piece of alcohol ink. So UV resistant is next. The reason we use a UV resistant for alcohol ink is just because sun does affect the alcohol ink over time, and we obviously want to avoid that as much as possible. If you don't have it and you have a piece laying in the sun, over the next few years you'll see the color start to change and fade. This avoids all of that. This is the one I normally use. This is another option that they have come out with. It has another chemical in it so that it doesn't actually affect the piece of alcohol ink. I've seen people use this on its own without any Kmart and be okay. I just haven't tried it yet. I do plan on doing that soon, and when I do, I will update you guys. The final step in my pieces is always crystal clear. It is an acrylic coating that dries fairly quickly, and you can use multiple coats if you really want to just give your piece a little bit of extra protection. Again, it is non-yellowing as well, which means along with the Kmart and the UV resistant, you should be pretty set with just spraying your products, but it is preference to everybody. I like to use the spray combo on my clocks just because I make all the clock faces in-house, and I make them all with a preset hole in the middle for the clock throat. It works perfectly fine. I'm always very happy. I haven't had any complaints yet. It's a good enough coating still. You can kind of do whatever you want to it. You don't have to worry about anything going on to it. You can still wipe it clean if you need to. If there's any hair or whatever dust that gathers on the piece, you can do that. Or if you're just putting a piece of Yupo in a frame, doing just these two will be more than fine. If you have the third, it's just extra protection. I usually do all three just for the sake of feeling more secure about my piece and its longevity. The next piece I'm going to talk about is art resin. It is a two-part epoxy. It is always a 1-to-1 epoxy, which means that it is equal parts resin and equal parts hardener. They have a calculator on their website. If you go to artresin.com/calculator and you input the length and width of your piece, it will give you the proper amount of resin that you have to do. And when they give you that amount, it is always going to be the total amount. So if it says 4 ounces, that means it's 2 ounces of resin, 2 ounces of hardener, a grand total of 4 ounces that you're going to be putting on your piece. So the reason I use art resin for a lot of my other pieces is because it doesn't absorb into Yupo. So it has a light stabilizer in it, which prevents it from yellowing as well. Same concept as the UV resistant. It also is an epoxy, which means that it is a thicker coat of protection. So it kind of gives it a glass look in front of the piece, but it's actually a part of the piece. You can do multiple layers of it if you really want to. You just have to give it a sand. I usually use a lower grit, so like a 60. Gives it a good amount of depth in the epoxy so that the second layer can actually adhere to it. The biggest benefit that art resin has over the sprays is that it has no VOCs in it, which means that it can actually be used indoors. Big benefit to the winter time, especially here in Canada where I can't actually do anything outdoors with it, right? So the best way to do it is inside your house if you can, or a heated area that you use. Here's a tile that I've just resined recently. You can actually see the shine on it along with the protection it gives. It is great for coasters just because it gives it a thick protection, and it is very hard. It is heat resistant up to I think 50 degrees. It will withstand some of your hot stuff, so if you have a tea or something, you should be pretty good. Here's an example of a piece with some art resin on it. I usually put my pieces on wood panels, so it gives it a whole finished, not finished look. I really like the look without a frame, so this just kind of just goes and hangs on your wall, just like Bam. Alright, that's all I have to say about sealants. If you have any other questions, feel free to send me a message or leave a comment. I hope you found this informative. I tried to give as much information as I could. There is a lot of information, and I hope you learned something today. Otherwise, go out and play, have fun, make something. Bye.